What is up, guys? It's Drac, and I'm narrating over this because there is no intro segment for this. In this video, we're going to be building a replacement. Not really a replacement so much as a successor, I guess, to my trusty sidearm, the Argonaut. So this is the Argonaut 2.0 build, and you can see here that I'm currently pondering over the failed attempt to drill all the way through part of this hammer shot to completely separate its solvent welded pieces. And I left this segment in just to show that nobody's perfect, nobody knows everything, I guess. I just tried to put a drill bit into a Dremel, knowing full well that there was no way that it would actually fit in there. So we recalibrate, we come at it with a proper tool for the job, and we install it into our actual drill. This is me also reminding you that safety is important, and even though I'm not wearing my video goggles in this segment, I'm wearing safety glasses. So this is my new trick. Even after making so very many of these revolvers, I finally broke down and discovered that if you drill out carefully, and carefully is the operative word here, these 3 posts on the gray top rail piece and go all the way through the kind of darker gray middle body piece, you can, if you don't penetrate all the way through the orange piece, separate the shell entirely. So then I'm coming in with needle nose pliers just to move all of those pins so that the parts will start to kind of unfold. And again, like ever so gently, trying to make sure that we go through, and this one is scrapped. So you can see that this is a learning process. I was really upset when I went all the way through this one, and so I decided that this was going to be my frustrating scrapped project. I wound up painting it green and silver and selling it on eBay. There is an entire build on that blaster, or at least a video on it in the past, but that one did not get a name, and so back to the lab again, we tried again. After getting a real feel for the proper amount of pressure necessary to separate these shell pieces, we tried again, and this time we succeeded. So this one will become the Argonaut 2.0's left side shell, and you can see as we're pulling it apart just how thin that orange piece is, showing you that the margin of error here is like so tiny. It's almost like 1/16 of an inch thickness that you have to play with as you're pulling this apart and not breaking it. But it is good to go, and so now we have to prep it for painting and hydrographics, which means that I'm in there with a Dremel's grinding wheel, meticulously taking off all of those warning labels, slowly sanding off some of the paint, making sure that the name hammer shot is removed, and since a lot of the details on the hammer shot are actually kind of like embossed into it, this can be a lot of work, but pretty soon it will be ready for painting. So this is gray vinyl dye. It lets you have a nice base coat, and the trick is to put it on not only the outside of your painted blaster, but the inside as well. The inside means that you'll get complete coverage on all of the different pieces. So make sure that you use a proper base coat and get it both inside and out, or else your paint job will look crummy and your dog will run away from home. Alright, so this is what the shell looks like completely reassembled after being completely separated and painted. We're going with the Quasar blue, which is a darker blue, and then aluminum, which gives you a much better silver coat. And the reason that we went with these darker / lighter colors is I'm actually trying a slightly different film for the Argonaut project this time. I found it in silver, not on black, and I think that it's going to be a much subtler effect on the blue, but also a much more dramatic effect on this. I don't really know how it's going to turn out, but it can't be anything but good. So let's go. So for those who might not have seen my full tutorial, this is a process called hydrographic imaging, or hydro dipping, or hydrographics, whatever you want to call it. The process is the same. There is a thin film of imagery in ink laid out on top of the water, then dissolved on both sides, which allows you to push something through that film and transfer that image to the piece. So it takes very well to the enamel paint that we used as the top coat for the Argonaut 2.0, and then it becomes just a royal mess. So we've got to come in, clean the tank, lay on a fresh film after that top layer at the very least is clear again. Then we will spray on our activator, and then we will do the other half of the blaster. This is a process that has a real learning curve to it. I cannot tell you how many different scrap pieces of Nerfery I destroyed while teaching myself to do this technique with any amount of confidence. However, this is a new film and it really added a lot of silver to the blaster. It kind of gave it a greater consistency than I originally thought it would have. Alrighty guys, so I'm so very excited to button up the Argonaut 2.0, have it ready in time to be my sidearm at End War, and I'm really stoked to show you that. But before I can do that, I really want to talk through all of the very special pieces that are going inside. So this comes from Orange Mod Works Singapore. It is a very special resin printed sight. It replaces the original sight on the hammer shot. It gives you a slightly higher profile, and you can barely see that there's a hole inside it here. And here I believe that you can also see the Orange Mod Works logo. I think that hole is specifically designed to hold 3D print filament to give you an actual dot to line up as a sight. I intend to use either blue filament because it makes a lot of sense, or I will be using a filament that's UV reactive and changes color. Then we have this is Gavin Fuzzy's very finely printed. He does great print work. This is his 8-shot cylinder, so it holds, or it's a 7-shot cylinder rather. That is my mistake, but it's a 7-shot cylinder. It snaps together very easily. Actually, I'm amazed by how easy that was. And then this is going to fit into the hammer shot like so. I'm sure that there's some sort of pin that I need to put in place to make sure that this fits absolutely. But then we've got this, which I painted in the workshop. That is not particularly special, but the really cool thing here is that a machinist friend of mine who does like sight adjusters, and he makes shifters for sports cars and whatnot, had this Cerakoted for me, and I'm very excited to have the German kit Cerakoted here in the States so that it is now blue, and everything on this blaster is going to match. It's super intentional. It should look really great. So let's get it completely assembled, and then I'll show you a final firing demo of what it really looks like outside in the light and ready to check out this next level Hydrographics job. It's a little different than the 1.0. It should be sweet. So as I'm putting this back together, I realized that there was one part that I did not mention, and I absolutely could not leave that out. So the Australians over at Australian Nerf and Turf Springs have made a 9-kilogram spring for the hammer shot. And as we all know at this point, an Australian 9-kilogram is probably closer to a 12 anywhere else. So that's just a statement about their company and generally like how powerful those springs are, not necessarily a statement about Australia and its ability to measure energy. But I am very excited to get this all locked down and reinstalled because I think it's going to have a lot of power behind it. Let's do it. So it's really the whole package that makes the Argonaut 2.0 very special. The contrast between the silver with the logo, this is of course a vinyl logo from my friend Avery over at Custom 3D Nerf, with the silver on the dark blue of the Hydrographics makes it very subtle. When I first showed this to a friend of mine, Bobo, he took one look at it and he said, wow, that's the cleanest swirl dip I've ever seen. Then he was like, wait, there's a dragon on it. And I was like, yep, it's Hydrographic. So with the combination of reassembling the shell this way and then doing a 2K clear over the entire thing, it winds up looking very nice. I cut this very carefully so that the entire logo splits and the blaster still opens up. My signature at this point, because nobody else will do them, leather wrap is on the back. My one regret is that I could not find my blue thong to lace this up with. Instead, I'm using the regular black stuff that I've been using for a lot of other things. Now, the Cerakote does add some thickness to the blaster, which means that I had to come in and lube up the entire mechanism really well. That's not unusual though, because the German hammer shot kit should be lubed up very well to begin with, being how it is a metal on metal sear. Now, as far as this sight reticle goes, it will not actually fit into an Apex Weapon Systems holster. That's why I do not have the back sight on. And even though I was so excited about this and I will definitely be keeping it on, I'm currently struggling right before I leave for End War with whether or not I can get away with, like, my heart could handle carving off this top optical here, because if I carve this off, it will fit in the holster, but with it on there, it's really tight and not very efficient. So
The overall composition, though, lends itself to a completely unique, very different looking blaster, which is the goal of a sidearm that should be so striking and so special for me. It kind of continues that legacy of the original Argonaut, which has been with me for, I want to say, almost 2 years now, and has been to multiple different continents and countries for different battles with me. So, not to be like super sappy about it, but I am very, very, I guess, emotionally attached to my Nerf blasters that travel everywhere with me. So to retire one, I had to build something absolutely exceptional, and I think that the combination of all of these different parts from all of these different places has made for a very, very special blaster. Now, Gavin's cylinder has a wonderful dart fit. It does seem to slow down certain darts a little bit. I'm not sure how these waffle tips are going to perform, but I am very excited to find out. I wanted to consistently load 8 of the exact same brand new dart, and I set up a target down here. Now, unfortunately, my goggles have fogged, so you guys will have to give me the benefit of the doubt, but let's go. Luckily, it's a big target. There we go. All right, awesome stuff. So, not shooting as hard as other hammer shots. I think that that's probably due to the cylinder-sear interaction. However, I am very pleased with the overall accuracy and consistency of the blaster. So often, you will get 3D printed parts that do not rotate properly, and each one of those shots rotated perfectly and fired consistently. Now, Gavin's cylinder does mean, I'm only going to do this once, that there is no air restrictor in it. Even if you leave the AR in, it permanently opens up your air restrictor built into the blaster's plungers. So you kind of have to take that into account. If I ever make a 3.0, I'll probably use Gavin's parts again because they are so top shelf, but I will probably completely remove the AR, improve the barrel to plunger seal, and I will probably remove the dead space. But that is the Argonaut 2.0. Here there be monsters, and this is how we battle them. If I can hold it up, you can see that the parts are translucent in certain places, which gives it just a very almost ethereal feel with the 2K on top of the very subtle, very funky silver hydrographics. And the fact that the hydrographics only cover the main body and do not continue into the handle portions or onto the rail makes for an excellent, excellent contrast. So I've talked about the aesthetics plenty. I will include some photos because I know how hard it is to see hydrographic work on camera, even in 1080p. But thank you guys very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like this, please smash that like button. It's getting harder and harder to justify making these full build videos of my passion and my art on YouTube because of the way that they're burying a lot of my content. So it means an absolute ton to me if you do hit that like button. If you are subscribed, make sure that you bell me, bro. And if you're not subscribed but you like the hottest Nerf blasters and the coolest custom builds around, like this is a $100 pistol easy for a Nerf blaster, and that's just materials alone, then I would appreciate it if you'd stick around and check out more of my content because I love building stuff like this. Much love. Nerf on. Drac out.